It's the end of a long week, and I feel like I'm entitled to a little grace.
Yeah. Okay. You got it. In fact, I'm giving you grace right now.
All right. Well, okay. I'm waiting for it. Yeah. I'm just not feeling it, man. The sincerity that is being delivered it's astounding. I appreciate it.
By its very nature, grace is quiet.
She is.
I feel like you're reading out of a quote book.
Listen, I talk in quotes constantly. I'm on podcasts all day.
All right. I got it. All good. All good. I also haven't eaten, so I'm a little lightheaded, a little woozy.
So we don't do this very often, go to chain restaurants, but we're on a roll. My wife has an affinity for chain restaurants. Olive Garden. Last night was Texas Roadhouse. And so I had
a little insight into the psyche of Craig Fisher.
Yeah, I'm not for it, but I'll go if she wants, happy wife, happy life. And so I had just now leftover loaded baked potato and part of a New York strip for my lunch. And I feel until I fall over catatonic.
Yeah. Yeah. Except for in like 5 minutes, you're going to be sleeping under your desk.
No, I don't operate like that. I'm doing 100 push-ups a day right now. I need the calories.
That's amazing. Are you going flex much? Are you going literally, or are you breaking it up into like 2 or 3 at a time?
20 at a time, 5 times a day.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
And is this something new?
No, I've done it before many times. And I feel like there's going to be travel in my future. And so I'm just getting prepared. Like I work out anyway, but this is sort of the extra. It's a life hack. Your body will change if you do 100 push-ups a day. Also, you have to do some yoga so that you don't also need a chiropractor. Or an orthopedist.
from the I don't know how you're doing push-ups, man, but it doesn't sound like you're doing them right. If you need a chiropractor and you're doing push-ups,
no, it's
that just shows Patrick doesn't.
It's just the repetitive stress on the shoulder, and the wrists, and the elbows.
I see. I was thinking lower back.
No,
for the chiropractor.
No.
But JD, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Well, I can only do about 4 push-ups, so it's all good.
Well, so at the end of doing a couple of weeks worth of 100 a day, you can do, 60 push-ups in a row or more.
Yeah.
And it's life altering. You can't do it forever because, like I say, orthopedic.
It's hard on the body. Yeah. It's good. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I was going to say, you're looking fit.
Thanks. Black, slimming.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, it's good. So guys, our guest today is a guy that is extremely accomplished in the world of advertising. And you know how you have somebody that is the epitome of something in your mind, right? Like you meet somebody and you're like, that's what that is supposed to be. When I think of advertising people, and in my mind, Dennis Ryan is kind of the archetypical advertising professional. I mean, he's brilliant, he's creative, he's personable, and he's just so accomplished. And we're so fortunate to have him joining us today. So I'm excited for this chat.
Welcome to On Agency, a weekly podcast that explores the various topics that impact marketing and digital agencies. This is a podcast about the business of the business, pulling back the curtain with leading agency minds as they share candid stories of their journeys, from where they started to how they achieved success and what the future holds. On Agency is hosted by Patrick Rooney, co-founder and chief executive officer of Mahalo Hub, and Craig Fisher, CEO of TalentNet and author of the best-selling book, Hiring Humans.
Patrick, I've always wanted a hype man. You just nailed it. My gosh, that's extremely kind. That's like finding a mint on your pillow. That was the nicest thing. That was really nice. Yes.
How are you, sir? It's good to see you.
Well, very well. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. It's sunny out despite being mid-March, so we're all happy. Everything's good.
I'm there, and I'm just going to take an aside. Craig, I'm glad that you didn't fall out of your chair when you heard that he's from Chicago. I know that it's an anomaly, but glad to see you still sitting.
Right. So, Dennis, welcome to the On Chicago show.
Perfect. We're very parochial around here. We like to keep it tight.
That's right.
Would you like to? And I keep telling him that, Chicago is, it's one of the marketing meccas. And so it makes sense that we have a lot of established and just industry leading people here. So it's great to see you. You're back in Chicago. Am I mistaken? You made a little bit of a sojourn.
You bet. I mean, Chicago, to your point, Patrick, was kind of the epicenter, certainly during the mass marketing TV era. But then, around 07, 08, as things kind of went through a massive upheaval, we saw broadband change everything with our digital lives. And at that point, I moved to Minneapolis to a place called Olson and became their chief creative officer. And the opportunity there was, it was like a super regional agency, but they had at the time a mobile advertising. They had bought a mobile advertising agency and a PR agency and a one-to-one agency. And then Olson itself was a basic creative agency with a strong digital bet. So to me, it was like going to school again. It was a wonderful job. And that's a terrific market. I mean,
lots of cool companies there, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Some really great clients, but then also just for a small market, I mean, it's amazing the amount of design talent there and writing talent. Just some of the best people I've worked with were those nice 7 years. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's great. And then did you immediately come back to Chicago?
I did. I was hired to be their first chief creative officer, basically because they had been bought by a venture cap group and wanted to have an exit in 5 years or something like that. And we did that. It was really funny. It was one of those things where suddenly we put together 6 national new business wins in a row, which I'd never done before. We just were really just killing it. And then, of course, they unwind the whole thing and sell it all off. And it just it was one of those classic kind of roll ups and sell it. So then I worked for a little bit more up there with my friend Mike Fetra, who was just a ridiculously talented creative. And then we always wanted to get back to Chicago, and I was able to do that. And we've been really happy here ever since.
That's great. Well, the city is better for it. So you've seen the full cycle change in advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, so talk a little bit about what that's been like, right? I mean, you mentioned, back when, advertising was TV and, in the 90s and the aughts and how it's applied. I mean, talk a little bit about that change.
Yeah, no, that's, to me, that's been the most interesting thing. And especially being a creative at my point in life, which is a little further along than certainly the average. You're right. It started off, everything was mass. So it was either TV, radio, which was a great joy, or print. And, that was the mass market. And what was interesting during that time as I was coming up, I never had to think about our next job. We all had agencies of record, relationships with our clients. You'd always try to get a new one, but there was always just, the work was backed up and you go from project to project and never think about it. With digital, and when suddenly that arose, you had a lot of, fundamentally, the financial model had to change. And a lot of Chicago agencies struggled with it because we were fundamentally TV. And what's really interesting, when I went to Minneapolis, the thing that became extremely clear is when you work in mass markets, you realize you can do things with execution, but not maybe necessarily with a foundational idea. And I think digital requires so much of what is the key idea that you want to get across, as opposed to, hey, here's 25 seconds of entertainment value, 5 seconds to sell, Bob's your uncle, will see you. So I think that was really interesting in Minneapolis, because they were never as heavily into TV. They did some great stuff, but they were more idea centric. And I think you've watched the whole industry become more like that. So it was a wonderful learning thing. In fact, pretty much every new job I take, I jump into something I've got no experience in and kind of figure out how to swim fast. And it's been really, really fun. It's been a great career that way.
So I've got a question. You talked about the shift from mass to digital.
Yeah.
And I graduated, like a lot of us here, from the College of Journalism and Mass Communications at University of Oklahoma. Do they even still call programs things like that anymore?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know. So much of what we do is working with young people. I mean, the business has always thrived on new talent, young people coming in. Certainly being one with the culture and knowing what's happening is really, really important. But, it should be if it's not, because fundamentally, strategy is story. And if you have a story, you can have a strategy. Without a story, you're going to be doing something. I'm not sure exactly what, but a story keeps you honest. And so that kind of foundational training you had is immensely important, Craig. I think that's the kind of stuff that really keeps you serving the brand you're working on, as opposed to just doing something interesting for interesting's sake that ultimately doesn't aggregate to anything more for your clients or your brands.
Well, listen, I feel lucky that I even get to use my degree at all on a regular basis. And my kids all say, "You don't even use your college degree." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, actually."
Of course you do. I mean, this is your college degree. I mean, how do you find the story? What is that person about? And what do they have to bring that I haven't heard 10 times before? And believe me, that's a certain pressure on me. But Craig, I respect you for doing it.
I looked at some of your content on LinkedIn, and you're doing a good job, and you've got original stuff. So I'm glad to have you here.
You're kind. Yeah. No, but it's interesting. I mean, I just remember, back in the day, we do Super Bowl ads, and you'd always have a sometimes you have 3 or 4 Super Bowl ads, and it was just this wonderful richness, and you were shooting with Hollywood DPs and all this wonderful stuff. And then now everything's vertical. I mean, you're silly if you're shooting in panoramic. It doesn't make sense for so many things. Particularly, I was just editing some content for LinkedIn this morning, getting the square format, doing it. And, so many of these things we've learned to do ourselves now. The promise of AI, the positive promise, is we're going to put these tools in your hands. We're going to allow you to do all these amazing things. You can have a podcast, and it's not going to grind you down for months at a time to try to get out each episode. There are ways to make the workflow better. So it's been, it's a constant learning has probably been the biggest benefit of what we've seen technology bring to the business.
Yeah. Did you hear that, JD?
Yeah.
It's not, podcasts are not supposed to grind you down over the long term. I just want you to,
if you're the sole person responsible, I think clearly she needs a raise, and she's, so there you go. See, I'm hyping you now, JC, and Patrick.
So Dennis, if you think about the teams, right? So you went from your DP and you get the team there to the team you have now.
Right.
What's the composition look like now?
It's really interesting because development, front end, back end dev is really important to so many things. Your social experts who can tell you where the audience is. Because now, creative was always, hey, look at us. We're going to tell you fun stories. This is great. Well, now we're telling stories with media, with experience, with web experiences. And those are not the sole province of a writer and an art director. And so I think that's really what we've seen. The danger with that is anytime you get a team that's too big, it's harder to know exactly who's doing what and when. It's why all of us are addicted to agile kind of processes. But, I think there's slightly bigger teams, but if you're smart, you wind them in and out. And everyone, as long as everyone knows what the brand narrative is, I think you're fine. I mean, what's really been interesting, despite the different platforms, despite the different media we're using, fundamentally, again, are you consistent with the brand should be saying, the tone it should be using, the look it should be generating, and just the feeling it should be imbuing. And if you're doing that, you're doing good work, no matter what you're doing.
Strategy is strategy, right? Strategy does not change.
No, and actually, and that's what's really interesting is a couple different places I've been where they really didn't value that. And if you don't value it, you spin longer. You don't get things done as fast, and there is no common goal. So everyone's just coming at it from their own perspective. And that's a dangerous thing. Strategy, no matter what the platform is so foundational to making it sure we all know when we're done or when we've got something good.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk about advertising's, I'm gonna quote you here, advertising slow, inevitable mutation into branding. talk a little bit about that, what that means.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Again, Patrick, it gets back to when, if you're telling a big story, the nice thing about television was I'd watch 30 seconds and I'd have a feeling. I'd feel something. And to me, that's really what we want to do. You walk into a Starbucks, we want you to feel something. You use an app, we want you to feel something because we remember how we feel much more than facts and figures. You can Google that till the cows come home. But how I make you feel, if I make you laugh, if I make you wistful, if I make you, reminisce about things, you can have much more powerful associations with the messages we're putting out. And so to me, what's interesting is we might actually be in a post-advertising kind of era. So much is experience, so much is mobile, and that's just so radically different. But foundationally, you still got to move people, you still got to engage them, and you still have to have them feel something. And to me, that is all rooted in brand. Does your brand stand for happiness? Does it stand for surety? Does it stand for aggression? I mean, all these different things. When you stand for something, you're differentiated and you separate yourself from the competition.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, Patrick? I still talk with my hands, so I'm knocking over my own microphone. Not really an elegant thing. Wow.
It's all right. You know what? We're all Italian at some point. So was this, Dennis, was, the hitting you where you live, right? I mean, meeting people where they're at and hitting them in the heart, right? And really creating something that resonates. Is that something that you were taught? Is that innate? You just were born with that sense? Did you have mentors and do you pass that on? I mean, talk about that.
We've all had tremendous mentors who have shown us stuff. And that's the beauty. This is such a team sport. Marketing is a team sport. You're going to work with all these different people with all these different disciplines, and everyone's going to rub off on you. I remember years ago, we were shooting a Jason Alexander's spot for World Gold. And the concept was that, the goalie gets hurt in an Olympic hockey game. And so Jason Alexander has to leave the stands, go down in his khakis and his Oxford cloth shirt and take over in the net. And so he was a wonderful talent. We had a great director shooting all kinds of stuff. And then we took a laser-guided Nerf hockey puck and aimed it and shot it off his shorts, which was, of course, the high watermark of hilarity. Isn't this so funny? So we shot it, and it was a 3-day shoot. The second day, we're sending all the footage back to the editor. The very last shot we shot was the Russian coach who watches this action and winces. He just reacts. And the editor calls and goes, "Thank God you got that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "No one laughs at action. You laugh at reaction." And then he showed the cut without the reaction shot. Then he showed it with the reaction shot. And all of a sudden it went from like, fun to, wow, that's funny. And to me, that's just a lesson you pick up from this professional. This professional will tell you, you can't have 2 buttons, 2 calls to action at the end of your post. You need 1, all those really simple things that you pick up from people who know their business. And it's if you like talking to people and you like people and you find learning interesting, this is probably the best career for you because, every day something else is popping up and someone else has got something interesting to say.
Well, I like all that.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got to tell you, you can think back because I've done this a while and it's really fun. I worked with a young writer just a couple months ago and he was doing radio. And radio has always been a little bit of the ignored little kid in the corner that no one really pays attention to. And we were just playing, and we played with rearranging words and putting the hard word at the end of the line so it's more of a punchline and adding a little space to give people a chance to breathe. And you just watched him click and get it on one we were working on. And later that afternoon, he came back with 3 more that he had done that to, and every one of them had gotten better. And just that the energy of that, of feeling someone really kind of tap into their idea and nail it. That's, creative direction is the most fun job in the world. It's just a gas and a giggle.
I'm constantly impressed by how the public is starting to understand some of those concepts now, right? So we see on TikTok.
Absolutely.
Right. Average users are getting the action and reaction thing, nailing it.
Totally.
Space to breathe, all those fun Shane Gillis type.
Yeah. Oh gosh, how good.
We throw something terrible out there and just wait.
Yep. And that's the key. I remember years ago, there was this place called the Roxy on Fullerton Avenue in Chicago. And they used to allow you to go up and do open mic nights on like Tuesday night. And you sign up, you get a 10-minute spot. And so I was sitting there as a young writer and I wrote a bunch of stuff. And I was practicing in front of my bathroom mirror, couldn't get it done in 12 minutes. I'm like, well, maybe I'll get nervous and I'll get it done in time. I get my name's called. I go out on stage. My heart's pounding in my chest. I run through my stuff, get a pretty decent reaction. I was happy with it. And then my wife plays me the tape. I did the whole thing in 5 minutes. And you realize how much confidence you need for comedy. You need to take the time, let people absorb it. And it was just probably one of my best advertising lessons that I didn't learn in the business. I learned from the pro who went after me and did 3 jokes in 10 minutes when I did 33, so it was really fun.
Hold on. So let's pause on this. So you pursued stand-up comedy.
Just no, actually no, because I have huge respect for stand-up comedy. They just had this, and a friend of mine was doing it. I'm like, I'll try that. And I thought, okay, my whole stand-up act was that I'm a writer. And at one point, I basically, comedians make you laugh with their voice, their timing, and writers make you laugh by doing this. And I just held up a piece of paper and pointed at a joke I'd written. It's like I knew my limitations. I was never going to move on to that. And I tell you, that's the other thing. Working in Chicago, you work with Second City. I mean, I remember we were able to shoot with Steve Carell when he was really kind of sad because his wife, Nancy Wall, was killing it and she was in Saturday Night Live and Steve was still with Second City, and you get, Dave Pasquaze, we worked with so many fun people over the years and, and that's a great joy too, whether they're famous or just the working actor who's trying to give you something when you write about cheesy goodness and trying to sell that line without, you hating yourself or them hating themselves. It's fun.
There's a new series or documentary or something coming out. I just briefly saw an ad for that is inside the writer's room at SNL.
Oh, wow.
How much fun will that be?
Oh, my gosh. Because I've listened to a couple of the David Spade, David Harvey things. Oh, my gosh. Just the stories are great. I mean, it's actually, oh, my gosh. Well, Seth Meyers has just taken over my Instagram feed. I don't know why, but
they're doing a good job.
Oh my gosh, they're nailing it. And it's such fun. I don't know if you happen to see just today, Steve Colbert talking to, oh my gosh, who's the guy who plays Lamb on the Slow Horses series at class.
Oh yeah, I did see it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's ripping. It's funny.
Oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing. And again, it's quick sketch comedy, and you've got such great players like Conan and Seth and all these other ones just out there throwing out new content. And then to your point, Craig, you got people who they make you laugh. The guy who basically just keeps embodying different types. I'm the guy who only wears Carhartt jackets, and he comes up with a name for himself and talks for like a minute and a half, and he's hilarious. There's so many people. There's a woman who does a deadpan Wisconsin, Midwest kind of attitude to everything, who I cry every time I see her bits because she's just really, really funny. So yeah, it's a great rabbit hole to go down and just watch all your, hear your brain cells dying as you're giggling like a fool.
I've just found somebody that watches all the same stupid stuff that I do. So
exactly.
We're friends.
There you go, brother.
House.
That's it.
That's amazing.
And so, Dennis, do you have kids?
I do. I got two daughters. I've got 3 grandkids now, which is just a whole new level of fun. We're going out for spring break to Palm Desert, and I was telling my older granddaughter's 10. I was saying, Genevieve, there are 8 pools at this place we're renting the house, and she goes, "No, Grandpa, they're 12." So, they're really excited about it too. And they're getting ahead of me. So it's fun. But, I got a daughter. My one daughter is an art therapist, and she really helps kids by working with art and finds a way to reach some of these kids, particularly different at-risk kids, which is great, and very proud of the work she does. And my other daughter, she went to college. She wasn't really liking this. The COVID hit. We were all stuck together. And she suddenly realized her real passion was medical aesthetics. And so she is this very successful medical esthetician here in Winnetka. And she, you wouldn't tell it by my face, but other people's faces look amazing. And she's really great. And she's just obsessed by all things skin. And again, she's someone who she follows the way she learns. I mean, she went to school, but then she also follows key influencers in the business. And so the way she adopts new information is such a change. We talk in our business where I am right now with Beta Rudder, we're very much about B2B, and our whole thing we're trying to get is B2B food. I'd never done B2B before coming here, but it's been really eye-opening. And now the biggest thing we're seeing are B2B influencers. Just like you might be a TikTok influencer about makeup. Well, someone's the TikTok influencer about warehouse management. And that's very important to the Raymond Corporation and stuff like that. So those are the things where it's really interesting to see just how much you've watched the power move from corporate mass media investments to the throw weight of celebrity. Celebrity seems to be the thing that you tap into it. Oh my God, I don't think I'd launch a alcoholic beverage these days without tying it to somebody. And it's just a really big change. Diageo might do it, but if Diageo is doing it with, Sammy Hagar, it's probably going to go further. So,
it's interesting you say that. So I just came across a report recently that was put out by Cision and I think PR Week together.
Yeah.
And, among, there's just a ton of data in there, but among one of the data points was who wields influence over consumer purchases.
Boy.
And so let me ask you, who do you think the top three are?
People?
No, just categories, like type. So you have influencers, you have celebrity, like that, like if you could list them out, who do you think?
Patrick, years and years ago, when our paths were crossing in Chicago, there was a study that showed that your friends and direct coworkers have a 93% influence on your purchase decisions. It was the basis of Zocalo, which was, just recommendation marketing. And I don't think that's changed. And so to me, the idea of someone else in your business, I'll read this, that, and the other thing. Oh my gosh, did Kevin Mulroy of Mischief say this? Oh, I'm going to listen a little more carefully because I love Kevin. He's really smart, and I think it's those kind of things are probably still holding true, but go ahead, show me.
I think on a one-to-one basis, yes, and you're referring to the famous Nielsen study.
Yes.
Right, that 92% of people say the recommendation or referral of a friend, family, or trusted source wields more power than anything that advertising can do. I think that still holds true. But what was interesting was, in this list was number one was employees, right?
Wow.
So hearing from employees of a company, right? They want to see the face of the brand,
Yes.
right? So employees. Number two were consumers. Number three were company executives sharing thought leadership. What shocked me was the different types of influencers. And I didn't even realize that there are different types of influencers. There's macro influencers, there's micro influencers, there's mini influencers. And then at the bottom, celebrities. I was shocked by this.
Yep. But think about it. What's interesting, and I'll be perfectly honest, when I was in consumer packaged goods, mass advertising, you'd see people in B2B, you're like, I guess, maybe someday I'll get there. And I have. But the interesting thing is you're watching the market and the investments go so heavily to B2B. And I think part of it is, and I've noticed some of our B2C clients I used to work with are coming to us here because they believe there's a little more understanding of channel. And that's probably true. And to your point, Patrick, the people you're referencing might not mean anything to the people who are going to the latest Marvel movie, but it means everything to someone who's responsible for buying the food for their corporate kitchens, for their university network, things like that. And it's interesting. We keep subject matter experts on staff at Beta Rudder, which is kind of an interesting thing. We've got farmers and ranchers and small business owners. And one of my favorites is, the chef and a former restaurateur. And so Alicia Rubio ends up, because she's been in this business and knows the pressures of a restaurateur, knows the pressures of a chef, gives us a wonderful firsthand perspective. And so we were introducing a new product from McCain Food Service, a potato-based product, because they're really big in potatoes. And she was able to find the chef influencers for us. And so we were able to create, no one ever really saw it outside the restaurant world, but we took some really amazing people and we created this competition. Here's this new product. This week, what can you do with it that would be a dessert? This week, what would you do with it that would be a side dish? How do you make it a main dish? Can you do a poutine with it? And we had all these different little contests. And each week, you'd vote for what you liked best. And over the course of 4 weeks, we got 48 new recipes. Everyone in the food service channel knew about McCain Mini Mashers. And we had this epic throwdown that then we had a live event on the floor of the National Restaurant Show. So it was in Chicago, which was really funny. And, it led to like 750 direct new leads for our clients with the purchasers they need. They wouldn't have gotten that with the television spot. But boy, with the right B2B influencers, everyone likes Chef Bo McMillan, and so they're following him, or Sarah Grunewald, they're following her. So that's the kind of stuff that you're just seeing how powerful. Again, it keeps going back to who's your trusted recommendation.
Yeah. But, also married to that is what's the activation, right? Yes. It's got to be an interesting activation. Absolutely. So what you're talking about, like having it on the show floor, right?
Right.
That's interesting.
Oh, I don't spend a ton of time at conventions, but when I was there, I was like, this one was just a rocket ship, because you're getting these big crowds and we're doing the live feed and there are all these different things. We got the guy, Billy, I forget what his name was, the guy from the Food Network, who was our announcer, and he was wonderfully charming. It was just a great experience, but it was very, very specific. And so I think that's something you're seeing, the power of focus. And if you have the right focus, I don't care to talk to 40 million. If I get the right 400, the business is going to take off. So, and to your point, the other thing, we've got a guy named David Moreno. He's our chief strategy officer at Beta Rudder. And he has this wonderful presentation about how expensive it is to be dull. There was a recent survey, someone in LinkedIn, and it might've been Cision, I don't know who it was, but they did a survey. They took 2,000 B2B ads, and something like 80% of them were rated by customers as 1 star, creatively, interestingly. So when you do the math on that, it might seem, we're not going to be risky. This is what everyone does. We're going to do this. And you see how absolutely 100% wrong that kind of approach is. It's not risk. You are going for the middle, so you're going to be stuck in traffic. If you do something fresh and relevant to your brand, now you can get 10x your investment in media. So it's really, to your point, you can't confuse boring with responsible. Boring is actually quite irresponsible.
So think about how our largest advertising platforms now try to get you to use static media and boring concepts, and they want you to do 5 different versions of it, right? So a meta ad or a LinkedIn ad, TikTok's better because you can actually be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but these biggest advertising platforms are terrible at trying to get you to be original.
Well, there's that. And the other thing, because everything's trackable, they show how many, pre-roll ads, which are the bane to every consumer's existence, but are, big YouTube. Look, the second biggest search platform in the world. Of course you want to be there. But I still don't think we figured out how to do it right, because I see a pre-roll ad as, God forbid, I'm looking for an explanation of how to do a Heimlich. I really don't want to see a message from Wayfair. I want to get right to the Heimlich. So we haven't quite figured out, though, how to really make that work. And I don't know if we can. The very smart people have been working on it for a while. I think the interruption in the middle makes a little more sense. But the pre-roll thing, all it does is just, kind of frost a lot of people's pumpkin as they're waiting to get to what they want.
It's low hanging fruit for the creator because YouTube just tees it up for you. Same thing with Spotify. I mean,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then the thing with TikTok, and we've worked with many of our clients on TikTok. It's been a slow adoption. I think because TikTok's user base really is very specific about what they'll accept and what they won't. I'm glad you want to tell me that. I have zero interest in it. Please get off my feed. As opposed to, I just remember years ago, we had moved to Minneapolis and we had a Jeep Wrangler, and I had to take off the top. And the dealer always did it here in Chicago. So we're up in Minnesota. I'm like, well, I want the top off. I mean, Minnesota's summers last about 3 weeks. So you want to get all you can out of them. And I went on YouTube and saw how to do it. And so my daughter and I are out 20 minutes later, top's off, stored, everything's good, everything's working. And to me, the way we consume information, whether it's just regular information or sponsored information, it's changed so much. And so the way goods and services can enter that conversation is very, very narrow, I believe. You can't be selfish. You got to give and plan on getting later, in the same way a 30-second brand television commercial used to be. Hey, we're just going to make you laugh for Bud Light. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to say, yes, I am. Ha, 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 that's that. And then you'll feel good about the brand. It's kind of where we are now with information, I find.
I love those consumer influencers that give us that kind of information, right? And they get big followings.
They absolutely do.
On TikTok, my favorite trend is the non-advertisement ad, right? So something bounces off something and splashes into something and smashes down a mountain, and then they pop up and, hey, check out our store.
That's exactly it. It's like, it's just a new iteration of the old thing. Yeah. If I got your eyeballs, I got your attention, hit the end with a button, and there's a little cell, and I don't resent you for it, because you entertain me for, the opening, and that's great.
So much fun.
Building friends. It's fun.
I love it. Dennis, this has been fantastic. Thank you for joining us. I mean, I feel like we can keep going for hours on this. I mean, you have a wealth of experience and knowledge, and thank you for.
I think this should be a weekly show.
So there you go. Because you know what? I'm an ad guy, Patrick. I can go about anything for any length you need. That's part of the job. No, you're very talented.
I need to put that on a tagline. That's your tagline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I always loved that. My dad was an attorney, and he used to say, it's like the whole thing about 3 guys die and they go to heaven. The first is his engineer, and God, there's what's 2 + 2? And he goes, well, knowing math, 2 + 2 is 4. Great. Going. And then he says to the teacher, what's 2 + 2? I said, well, your basic mathematics teaches you 2 + 2 is 4. Great. Goes to the lawyer, what's 2 + 2? And the lawyer goes, what do you need it to be? And that's pretty much what we do in advertising. What do you need it to be? We'll take care of it. Better easier.
I love it.
It's fun.
Hey, thanks so much. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Thank you. Great to see you again, Patrick. Great to meet you, Craig. Great to meet you, Jay. It's really been fun. I appreciate it.
Take care. Talk to you later, buddy.
Thanks, Dennis.
God, that was amazing.
Yeah. More of that.
Right? I mean, just talk about he could pull from stories from so many experiences, and his perspective. I mean, he's been, through the entire evolution from what traditional advertising had been for 50 years, right, to how it's changed so rapidly over the last, whatever it is, 15 years or so.
Yeah. Well, he's super dialed in.
Clearly.
I mean, he's like my Uncle Jeff. He and I need to have Easter together and alcohol. And do that for 2 hours. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that you guys were able to meet him. But do you see what I'm saying? Right? I mean, he's kind of the epitome of an ad guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally.
He really is. And he's welcome back anytime.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hey, that's going to do it for us. We thank you for listening. If you like this show, please consider giving us a review on any of the platforms where you can find On Agency, not On Chicago, whether that's Spotify, Apple, or whatever you listen to. Your reviews help others listen to other listeners find our show. So thank you.
We do appreciate you. Smash that like button.
Get it.
Smash that like.
That's right.
This episode is brought to you by TalentNet and Mahalo Hub. TalentNet Media empowers businesses with innovative strategies in talent acquisition operations, recruitment marketing, and employer branding. Join us to stay ahead in the evolving hiring and HR technology landscape at talentnetmedia.com. For marketers looking to amplify their marketing campaigns with high-impact video content, Mahalo Hub simplifies your workflow with its powerful, flexible, and scalable platform. Savvy marketers know that Mahalo Hub makes their lives easier, and budgets go further by letting them invite, capture, edit, and distribute authentic video content seamlessly across all digital channels, all from one intuitive dashboard. Check Mahalo Hub out at www.mahalohub.com. That is MAHALOHUB.com.